Hey, welcome to another video in the series How to Stay Motivated at Home. Some time ago I pulled into my local gas station really early in the morning, 6 a.m, and it was dark, it was winter time, and I was gassing up on my way to deliver leadership training out at Glenbrook Steel Mill. Now, I managed to get the pump that was quite close to the exit so I wouldn't get blocked in. Even though it was early morning, there were quite a few customers there already. And I wanted to sort of get in, not get my petrol, pay for it, not get blocked in and get out as quickly as I can. So I was really fortunate to get that end pump. I gas my car up, I hang the pump up, I start to walk across the forecourt of the petrol station and I see something that I've never ever seen before in my life. It's someone smoking right next to the petrol pump. I was just blown away by this, and so I make my way over to this guy. He's clearly part of a crew. They're putting diesel into their double cab truck. It looks like they've got something like concreting gear on the back. He's clearly part of a crew of guys, and I make my way over to him as I'm making my way to go in and pay for my gas, and I say to him, mate, it's a really good idea not to smoke on the forecourt of a petrol station. And this is his reply. Now, 6 a.m. is too early in the morning for a fight for me. 7 a.m. is too early, 8 a.m., any time of the day, day or night, is not the right time for a fight for me. How was I going to deal with this? Yesterday morning I spoke to a business virtually, joined them via Microsoft Teams, and I started off by telling that story. The reason I told it is because last week I was approached by the CEO of this business saying that their staff was starting to wane a little bit and they wanted to have someone come in and speak to them to motivate and inspire them. And in particular, they wanted their staff to see the bigger picture during this time when it feels like things are shrinking. Less contact with customers, less contact with suppliers, less contact with the real outside world in terms of us being in lockdown. So I started with that story, and it is a true story, and I used it to illustrate the fact that this guy on this forecourt who was smoking had such small thinking. All he was thinking about was his need for a nicotine fix. He wasn't even thinking about the consequences to himself physically, let alone his crew or the other customers at the petrol station. It was such a great example of really small thinking. And by the way, that story does have a positive conclusion, although it took quite a bit to get there. So I talked to the staff yesterday and I used this illustration. At the moment, the staff have this size thinking. But what they need to do is stretch to have this size thinking, which is bigger picture thinking. And all we have to do is simply stretch this out. And, oh, is it there? Is it there? Yes, it is. Look. They're now the same size. Whereas before, there was a sense that, oh, no, I can't stretch my thinking. Actually, my thinking is shrinking in this season with less contact, less business. Actually, no, now is the time to stretch your thinking, and in particular, think bigger picture. And I challenge the staff to do this. This is how you think bigger picture. What would my boss think in this situation? What would my boss do in this situation? What would my boss say in this situation? My boss, my manager, the owner of the company. That's the thing that helps us to think bigger picture. Shifting from our own smaller world, at least our own perceived smaller world, and stretching it to the level of thinking above us. We don't have to become our manager to think like our manager, but the more we think like our upline manager, like the boss, the more we think bigger picture, the more we will feel motivated at home.